Hey everyone, it's Perseus the Bookworm here. I'm back in my PJs because it's my channel, my rules. This is my second time filming this intro because I was rambling too much when I was first doing it. Okay, so firstly, haven't uploaded within a month because I started watching Supernatural and that is 15 seasons long and I'm up to season 4, so my brain's kind of fried for trying to remember everything that's happening through that. And I'm starting uni next week, so I had to make a video quick. And I'm also going to see Harry Styles later today, so also, again, I have to make a video quick. Now, I am doing a challenge tag thing that I just found on Google of like booktube tag things. Just because, I don't have any other ideas, and I thought Google would give me the best one for that, so yeah. I think this one's like the soundtrack of my life challenge soundtrack thing. Yeah, that's the best way I can describe it. I'll have a look again what the actual tag is called, and then all that you'll find out in the title anyway. So you're not gonna be able to see this properly, but I've got like the things there of the questions there that I'm gonna read from. Now I had reorganized my bookshelf like a few weeks ago, which literally at the end of organizing it, I realized that it was a bad idea because it's just as messy as it was before. So, actually, it's more of a mess now than it was before. So, I'm gonna have real fun with this. Just gonna quickly move this because it's in the way. Okay, so the first one is opening credits, favorite childhood book. Now, this one is an easy question for me because it's just easy, which is Black Beauty by Anna Sewell. Because this is, I think I've read this more times than I can actually count. Like, I actually don't remember how many times I've read it. As you can probably tell by the cover and all that, it's been very well read. So, now I can't remember, I think I was with my nan when I got this, and I think it was like at this place that was like kind of like an op shop kind of place, but I don't think it was an op shop, that it was selling it. And I think I had watched the 1994 version of the movie at the time, and so Nan let me get it. And I've read it more times than I can count since then. Now, for those who don't know what this book is, it follows this horse named Black Beauty, and kind of like the treatment of horses when they were used for pulling carts as transport kind of thing. Actually, that is what it's about. Horses pulling carts as regular transports, like getting them from one place to another and back. And it kind of tells it through Black Beauty and how he has some kind masters, so ones that treat him with respect and nicely, and make sure he's healthy, he's fed, and all that, and make sure he gets regular breaks. But then also the cruel masters, the ones that overwork him, who don't realize that the bearing reins that they use cause pain in their necks and all that. So yeah, and he makes friends along the way, such as Ginger, who's had a very bad past, and then Merrylegs, who's just like a, what's the word? Kind of just like a joy pony for like little kids and all that. So yeah, it is quite sad because it's meant to be sad. It's meant to make you realise how horses were treated back before we had cars, basically. So yeah, there's that one. Now the next one is Waking Up, a book that got you out of a reading slump. That's the thing. No book has really got me out of a reading slump because, like, if you've watched my other videos, I'm a mood reader, so I have to stop anyway in between books. And the same applies to shows as well. I have to stop in between each one, so then I can just process what had happened. So I don't really have a book that got me out of a reading slump because I need to process what happens in between books that I read. So yeah. So no, I don't have a book for that one. I'm sorry. Next one is School, a book you had to read for school that you ended up loving. There was a few, but I'll have to choose one. So I guess I'll choose this one because I did end up liking it quite well. Because I don't know if goodly is even a word, which is The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon. This is about a young boy with Asperger's, which from when I received my own diagnosis, it's not really used anymore. It's level 1, 2, 3 in terms of autism, the autism spectrum disorder. I only know this because I had my own diagnosis, so it's no longer called Asperger's, and it's no longer called low functioning, high functioning. It's level 1, 2, 3. I'm level 1, which is the high functioning side of things. So yes, this is about a young boy named Christopher who has what used to be called Asperger's, and you're basically living through him about this dog that was killed and his journey throughout things. Because if I remember correctly, he finds out why his parents are no longer together. So basically, from what this incident of the killing of the dog, it leads them through this whole process of, oh no, this dog died, to like, oh, this is the reason why my parents are split up. So yeah, I think this was back in year 9, I think. Wait, no, year 9 was The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. This was year 10, actually, I think. So yeah. Now, as me personally, as a autistic, I don't relate to Christopher, but that's because, and I want to emphasize this, people with autism experience it differently to every other neurodivergent autistic out there. So, of course, I don't relate to it because I'm not a maths person. I'm more of a creative person, so, because I have an overactive imagination, so yeah, so that's that one. That's the one I read for school and I did end up loving. Of course, everyone has a different opinion on it, and that's fine. So yeah, I'll also link this in the description once I find a link again. So next one is Falling in Love, an author you love so much you want to read all of their books. Now, this is a very obvious one for me because this is the author that technically got me into reading horror, I guess you could say. Now, the book I'm going to show you is not one that I've read, but it is on my reading list, which is Stephen King. Does it just say, is it book or just author? Just author, so it doesn't have to be a book that I've read. So, obviously, Stephen King. I do love Stephen King. Haven't read a book of his in like 4 years, but I am planning on it. I might read one after I've finished Supernatural, whenever that is. So yeah, my hair is dirty because it's been washed in 2 days. Excuse it. Yeah, so I love Stephen King. My 10 out of 10 author. I aspire to be him. Who doesn't, unless you hate horror. That's a completely different thing. So yeah, I remember reading Cujo. Okay, so this is going to be a long context. I technically started reading it first, but I took a while to get into it, so I started reading Cujo, which I loved, which then I then continued to read it. So yeah, so I love Stephen King, one of the best authors I think is out there. So next one is Fight, book with the best action sequences. Ooh, I was gonna say I didn't know one, but I do actually. Now, I believe I read this back in year 7, so it's been a while since I've read it, which is The Dangerous Days of Daniel X by James Patterson and Michael Ledwidge. Now, this is about this, best way I can describe it is this alien that he goes by Daniel X, I believe is an alien, because I remember him able to like shapeshift kind of. Now, like I said, it's been a while since I've read this book. Like I said, since year 7, which is all the way back in 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago. Oh my god. Yeah, so I will have to read this one eventually because I do not remember. Yeah, but I do remember it's about this alien who is, I think, is able to shapeshift certain parts of himself. Like, I think he's able to extend his arms as well. Yeah, I could be wrong. Oh, here we go. With mind-blowing skills like telepathy and the ability to transform and create, Daniel's got more than a few tricks up his sleeve. So maybe not alien, but he has his own abilities that can help him out. Now, I think there are a few action sequences in here. But again, like I've reiterated, don't know the word. But as I said before a few times, that it's been years since I've read this. And I've only recently been, oh my god, I can't say words today. I've only recently been able to find this book again, along with a few of its sequels. Because it's either out of print or something, because I can't find it at like a regular bookstore, like ones where you can get books first hand and all that. So I found it at a second hand bookshop, which my friend enabled me to get, because like he was just like, you don't know when you're gonna find it again, which thankfully I got, and he enabled me to do. So thankfully he did that. So, because which is true, because I don't know when I would have been able to find this again. Wow, that was a rant within itself. That was just a rant within itself. Okay, so next one is Breakup. A book or series you didn't finish and do not intend to finish. Do anyone? Well, it's not that I don't intend to finish it. I don't think I have a book on my shelf that I don't intend to finish or continue. I don't know if it counts, because like I technically stopped reading Misery by Stephen King simply because it was taking me a while to get into. And then there's also the After series, but it's not that I don't intend to not finish it, just that I'm hesitant to read the next book soon, especially while I'm going to uni, because like After is not it is a popular series, but it's quite questionable, so that's why. So it's not like I'm hesitant of completing After or Misery. It's just that it has its own reasons why I'm hesitant to do it. So with Misery, it took me a while to get into. After, it's a bit questionable, and I'm not sure when I want to read and continue it, especially with its questionable things. Next one is Hanging with Friends, a book you think everyone else should read. I'm gonna try not to pick out the books I've just picked out, so I'm not gonna pick out Daniel X and all that. So what is a book that I think everyone else should read? This might take me a minute, so book that I think everyone should read. I just thought of one, where is it? There it is. Okay, so the one that I think everybody should read is Felix Ever After by Kacen Callender. Now this is about a trans male who he realizes to be a demi-boy at the end of the book. Spoilers. It's about this trans guy named Felix Love, who's never been in love despite his last name and all that. And he is trying to find love because he wants to be in love, which then he finds out he basically wants to be deserving of love, and he doesn't know how to explain that. Which then he finds out that he is deserving of it, regardless of everything else that has happened in his life. And he eventually, spoilers, finds out that he is in love with his friend Ezra, who has had a crush on him for so long. So yeah. Now the best thing is about this book is that Felix, who's a trans male he's a demi-boy, which he realizes at the end. Kacen is actually trans themselves, because Kacen goes by he, him, / also they, them. So Kacen is trans himself. So if you want more like queer trans books, there's this one. Now I can't speak on the accuracy of it presenting as trans, because again I'm a cis woman, so I can't speak on it. So, but I'm sure that it comes from Kacen's possibly own experiences of being trans as well. And it's also for the people of colour who are in the LGBT community. Kacen is also a person of colour themselves. So Felix, being a person of colour, is written by an actual person of colour. So there you go. So there's more representation for you if you would like more representation for your community. But again, up to you. I can't tell you what you can and cannot read. So the next one is Breakdown, a book that seriously affected you / had you crying your eyes out. Now, if you've watched the last video, you would know that there were 2 books that made me cry my eyes out. But I'm going to choose this one because this is technically the one that made me absolutely cry, like tears came out of my eyes, which is You've Reached Sam by Dustin Thau. No surprise. Now, this is about, if you don't know the premise by now, just go watch my last 2 videos, but if you can't be bothered, I'll reiterate it for you now, which is about this girl named Julia and her boyfriend Sam, who she loves dearly. They've planned their entire future out, basically. But that gets ruined when Sam is in a car accident and he's no longer alive. Julia calls his number, hoping to get his voicemail, so then she can hear his voice one more time. But she didn't expect him to actually answer. And therefore they've given a certain number of calls to say goodbye to each other, basically. Now, spoiler alert, I cried when they started saying goodbye to each other on their final phone call. This was mainly because I never got to say goodbye to one person, one pet of mine, because one suddenly passed overnight, one got put down during the night. So I never got to say goodbye to those two. That's the whole reason why I cried at the very end of this book. It did a very good job and made me realize that you don't always get to say goodbye to someone before they pass or before they go. So, yeah. That was a very easy answer for me. Don't need to think twice about that one. Okay, so next one is Road Trip. Your favorite series, and then in brackets it says more than 3 books. Now, do I have a favorite series? No. It says more than 3 books. The thing is, I have never fully finished a series. The only one that I've technically completed was the Maze Runner, but even then I haven't read the prequels, so I haven't read the Cure Order or the Fever Code, but I have read the Maze Runner, Scorched Trials and the Death Cure. Because out of every other series that I've started, I haven't finished the first book of Dune, but I've started it. I've read the first 2 of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I've read the 2 first ones of Heartstopper, the first 5 of Warriors, the first book of You, the first 2 books of the After series. What other series have I started? I finished the first Percy Jackson. What other series that I've started but never finished? I know there's more. I've read the first 3 Harry Potters. I've started the first 2 Other Boys. I've read the first 2 Twilights. I've read a good portion of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I've read 2 of the Tokyo Ghoul series, 2 of Death Note, and then 2 of The Impossible Quest. So I don't necessarily have a favourite. And of course I've read the first Daniel X. So I don't know if I technically have a favourite series because there's multiple that I like. And plus all the series that I've started are different from each other. Because Daniel X, Aliens, Heartstopper, 2 Boys Who Fall in Love, Warriors, about a ex-pet cat becoming wild, Dune, going to a spice planet, after a very abusive relationship, You, a stalker. So you get what I mean. So that all the series I've started are different from each other. But if I had to say which one was my favourite, I'll say currently, this is so subject to change, but currently it's Heartstopper. Then because of how sweet it is, because for a little bit of context here, my reading challenge this year is to read 10, but of course with watching Supernatural, I'm not going to be able to read something like The Spanish Love Deception while watching Supernatural. So I had to go with easy reads during that time. So I've recently finished Heartstopper since that's an easy read, and I finished it within a day. So this one basically is really sweet. It's a really sweet series. It definitely deserves the hype that it has around it. And don't worry, I'm planning to watch the show soon. Supernatural's just taking longer than expected. So yeah. Next one is Flashback, your favourite book from 5 years ago. Do I have a favourite one from 5 years ago? Does it mean written from 5 years ago or book that I read 5 years ago? Because those are 2 different things. Because 5 years ago, that is 2018. What books did I read in 2018? There's one that I read for school. Wasn't my favourite, but which ones did I read in 2018? Oh my god. Because Cujo was 2019 for me. I don't think I have a favourite one from 5 years ago. Yeah, so sorry about that. If I do, I'll interrupt here or something. Next one is called Getting Back Together. What book can you not stop rereading. I've already said this one, but I'm gonna put it up here again because this is the one from the first question, which is Black Beauty. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but I can't stop reading it. So it's simply because it has. Sorry, give me a minute. Yeah, sorry. Someone was just. My stepdad was texting me. Yeah, I understood what he was saying, so I'll go back to the video now. Now, the reason why I can't stop rereading it is because it has such a deep message of how we as a society treat horses. Because, like, this is going to be a little bit of a rant, but I'm mainly saying this because, like, non-horsey people, and sometimes horsey people too, tend to have this thing about horses, like how you can't really mistreat them and all that, or like they're just animals that you can push and push and push constantly, which is not true because, like within the movie, spoilers if you were planning to watch it, don't watch the 2021 or the most recent one because that's not the most accurate depiction of the story. If you want to watch the more accurate one, watch the 1994 one. In the 1994 one, there's a bit where Black Beauty and Ginger have gone to this rich kind of family people, and despite the warning of to not use the bearing rein on Ginger because of her past, they use it and constantly tighten it to get their heads up. That's what the bearing rein does. It forces the heads up and not let the head go anywhere else, basically. It holds it in that one position, which is then painful for the horse. Which then, of course, one more tightening and Ginger kind of, I wouldn't say goes crazy because her action was justified. She kind of just goes, no, I had enough. You've pushed me to my limit, and therefore kind of just rears up and just goes, F you to the people who own her at that moment. Because, like, just because a horse may be willing to do what you want them to do doesn't necessarily mean you can just push and push and push. Because they will get to a point where they go, F you, I'm not doing this anymore. So, and much like every other domesticated animal that we have domesticated, you can, not that you should, but they can be abused by the people that own them. Because it's like, if you read this and if you watch the 1994 version, you would see that overworking these animals can cause them to be skin and bone and can cause them to drop down to the floor. So that's why I keep rereading that, because it reminds me of the message that you can overwork any animal that you have, regardless if it's a dog, cat, bird, horse, pig, rabbit, etc. That's why I keep rereading that. And plus it's a classic. So, now the next one is called Wedding, a book that is really special to you. Now, of course, I'm not going to put up Black Beauty again because, like, it's already been up here twice. So, what do I have another book that is special to me? I'm not too sure because, again, there's only been so many books I've read from this bookshelf. I only have one, so I don't know what I say. I was going to say The Ice Dragon, but it's not really that special to me, so... do I have any special books that are special to me? The answer is no, I don't. Sorry about that. But my channel, so... Next one is Moment of Triumph. Longest book you've ever read? Again, this is an easy question for me. Sorry, I just pointed that aggressively at you. This is the longest one. It by Stephen King. A total of 1,375 pages. Now, if you don't know what this is about, surprisingly, the spine is broken. I'm sorry. If you don't know what this is about, surprisingly, this is about these group of friends, the Losers Club, basically going up against this clown entity, or this entity that goes into the shape of your fears, that comes around every 27 years. To scare kids and to basically eat out their fears, so then he can stay alive, but they defeat him at the end, so spoilers. Yeah, so this is the longest book I've ever read. There's not much else I can say about that because that is basically the entire premise of it. Losers Club, they fight this entity, and yeah. Now I will give you a heads up that if you do with this book, it goes back and forth from when they were kids versus when they're adults. So be prepared. I think it's quite obvious to tell when they're kids versus when they're adults. Because, like, yeah, I think it's just, I finished it in like, I think 2020, I think. Yeah, that's gonna be the end of that one because I can't say more about that. Next one is Death Scene. Book or series you wish had ended differently. I don't think there's one that I wish had a different ending. Cause again, not again. Was there one that I wish had ended differently? No, because like I think with most of them they've ended how I expected or how they should have ended. I'm gonna be right back because I really have to do something, but I'll be right back and I'll edit this part out. Okay, I'm back. So Moment of Trials, no, Death Scene, book or series you wish had ended differently. No, there's none that I can think of currently that I wish had ended differently. They've all kind of ended how I expected, or slash how I thought they would have ended, or just ended how they probably should have. This might change once I read more books, because like again, I'm always constantly getting books, because like me and my friend had this little joke that's basically saying that for every one book we read, we get 10 more. So I don't have an answer for that one. So Funeral. The next one's called Funeral. Book with the best or worst epilogue. I would say Warriors for that one because it's always like a bit. I don't know if it can. No, they don't have epilogues. I don't think any of the books I've read currently have epilogues. For some reason, when I thought epilogues, I thought it meant like beginning, but I realized the epilogue's after. Wait, does 5 Feet Apart have an epilogue? Does it have an epilogue? No, it doesn't have an epilogue. I thought it was because let me search a definition for epilogue. So give me a second. Because this one has 8 months later, but I don't know if that counts as an epilogue. So I'm sorry if this looks weird, by the way. Epilogue meaning, there you go. An epilogue is the final statement of a book and effectively serves as one final chapter, an afterword. I don't know if this one counts as an epilogue, so because it's an 8 months later kind of thing. So I don't know if this counts as an epilogue because as soon as you turn the page after saying 8 months later, it goes to chapter 30 will. So I don't know if this one counts as an epilogue because then a few pages after you get chapter 31 Stella. So I don't know if that one counts as an epilogue. So I don't know which one has the best and worst one, so I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one, I'm sorry. And next, end credits, who do you tag? I don't necessarily tag anyone because like I don't have any close friends in the book community that do YouTube, so yeah, that's basically this challenge of what the title says. So I'm just gonna delete this meme. Sorry. Do you wanna see a cute dog? Do you wanna see my cute little dog? Yeah. So yeah, that's basically the end of this video. I've got a lot of editing to do now, so yay. I'll see if I can post another video sometime this week, so that way it's not spaced out or completely. I may try and film another video between the beginning and end of the semester. I can't promise anything. I can't promise anything. I'm sorry. I'll try and get another video out this week. Again, I can't promise anything. I might read another Heartstopper because I've got 2 more while I can read between Supernatural seasons. So, yeah. I'll see you all next time because this video's gone on long enough. Bye.